And up next, I would like to welcome our next speaker, Dr. Sangeeta Saksena, a gynecologist, author, counselor, and activist working in the field of sexual health for over 25 years. She is the co founder of Enfold Proactive Health Trust, an NGO imparting life skills based on sexuality education, children's sexual abuse awareness, and prevention program in schools, colleges, and communities. I welcome Dr. Sangeeta Saksena.
Hey, Nana, Shilpa, thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me here. Yeah, so do I just jump in?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so Enfold, I'm a co-founder of Enfold Proactive Health Trust, and we have been working with school children, right from grade 1 all the way to college students, teachers, postgraduate teachers, and police and doctors and judges on issues of gender equity, sexuality, abuse, personal safety, and all of that. So when we were discussing what we'll talk about in this very first summit, we were like, okay, let's talk about how sexuality itself, our relationship with our own sexuality, impacts our mental health, mental well-being. So, I would like to have your responses in the chat. If you think there is a link, give me a thumbs up. If you think there is no link between these two, our relationship with our sexuality, yes, I'm beginning to see some thumbs up. And yeah, I'd like to see the gallery. So yeah, let's see. Okay, I got 2 or 3 thumbs up. So yeah. So I'm going to, okay, some more, Anshul. Yeah. So I'm going to just have a few slides, and we're going to trace how this might happen. So I'm going to make share my screen. And yeah, so we're going to be exploring this. And let's take a look. So whatever we may believe, a lot of researchers believe that there is a direct link. Right? Lots of research in this on how our relationship with sexuality, how we approach it. Is it a positive approach? Is it a negative approach? Are we afraid of pleasure? Are we looking at sexuality only from the health and the diseases it can cause? Is it approaching it from fear? Will people start experimenting with their sexuality very early? Little do they know that we do start from the womb to the tomb, right? So, yeah, sexuality never leaves us. We are living sexual beings, right? So, as long as we're alive, our sexuality is with us. Yes, some of us may be asexual in the sense that they may not have a sexual attraction, they may not experience a sexual attraction as such towards another person. And they may have a romantic attraction, or they may be aromantic also, right? But what about pleasure that they may experience themselves uh, from their own bodies, right? So we're just going to take a very quick look at all of these stages, how right from childhood, then into adolescence, adulthood, and elderly, how various um, negative connotations get added to it, and how that impacts our well-being. And then if there is disability, what happens then? And if there is abuse, then we all understand. We have their tomes and tomes on research on how sexual abuse impacts the mental health, what is trauma, what is PTSD, um, effect on the victims, effect on their families, and all of that. So we'll not go there. We are going to look at just sexuality without any of its without abuse, just sexuality as such. So right from little babies touching themselves, somebody comes and does that on their hand. Chi, too dirty, don't. Child runs around naked, shame, shame. Right? So we have attached shame for the first time to these parts of the body. Now, if you're going to live your entire life feeling that one part of my body is shameful, would it not in some way affect your own feelings about yourself, who you are? You're carrying this shameful part in your body all the time, right? So it's dirty. I know that's also scientifically not right. It's not dirty. We're not talking of the anus. We're talking of the genitals. There is hair over there, there's skin over there, there's some discharge over there, there's some urine over there, which is sterile. But nothing else. Everything else is like discharge anywhere else, from my eyes or the hair. Nobody will say, "Chee, too dirty, go wash your hands." Right? But here, these parts, we do that. And the biggest culprit here is this shame. And because of this shame, we are silenced. Now, shame is a very strong emotion, very strong emotion. We would like to hide it, hide anything, or do anything to avoid feeling shame. It just shrivels us down. If this part is shameful, then we are in for trouble for the rest of our lives. We're not going to seek help when we need. We're not going to do so many things. Adolescents, our law also treats them as children, right? Our Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act says that anyone below 18 cannot give consent. And if you were born 50, 60 years ago, you could have been married at 13 and 14. Right? And until very recently, 16 was the age to give consent for sexual activity. And for marriage, it was later, because marriage is about commitment and so many other things. It's not so much to do with having sex. So, but we have changed it, and now, according to law, no teenager can have any sort of sexual activity. That's just not on. Right? So, okay, yeah. And with this also comes that whole issue with masturbation. There was another slide which I don't know, it's not showing up in this, but it was about the conflict that that the person feels when there is masturbation. It's feeling nice, it's feeling good, they're enjoying themselves, but then there's this guilt associated. You shouldn't have been doing that. I once had an email that came in from one of the students saying, "I'm going to fail in my 10th grade exam." Why are you going to fail? Because God will punish me. Why would God punish you? Because I masturbate. So that whole guilt was now coming out, like, how will God find a way to punish me? He is going to make sure that I fail in my 10th board exams. So then to write to the person, I explained, listen, I've been an examiner, and unless you write in your answer sheet that, by the way, I masturbate, there's no way they'll figure out that you masturbate. So you don't have to worry. And so, but you see the worry it was causing him. What about? I'm really sorry. It's not showing any of the pictures. I'm going to get out of this and show you without doing the presentation mode. You can at least see the pictures, right? Disgusting, shameful, dirty. How? Now, masturbation is not something that happens only in adolescence. It begins from the time the child is born. They keep touching themselves. It continues into adulthood, into elderly age. And if you're going to do it feeling bad and dirty and disgusting, how are you going to be well in your thinking, your mental well being? Of course, the body image, self image, sexual image, everything is considered. It's all been measured and put out there, and there are charts, and people are constantly looking at, do I fit in? Do I go for labioplasty? Do I go for vaginoplasty? Do I go for the men also? Or there's too much hair, or it's not the right color. It should be like this, it should be like that. A lot of that. And then we grow up into these adults. Again, not everything is showing up, but we don't know how sex is supposed to be, what kind of sounds we are supposed to make, for how long it should happen, when it should happen, where it should happen, which position, is this okay, is that not okay? And then there is the internet and all these voices through the internet or through pornography, um, telling us what to do and how to be. Little older, doesn't leave us. Shaming is not gone yet, right? I think until 40 is okay. After 45, chalo theek hai. You cross 50, then you become a dirty old man or a dirty old woman. If you have any thoughts regarding sexuality, because now you should be only about bhajans. So that too happens. I would like to pause it here and ask audience what they may. What do you think we can do about this? Do we want to do something about this? I know I could have made the Mentimeter slides and put them up here, but it's a small number, 16, 17. I would like you to unmute your mics and tell me what you think.
I think we'll give everybody's given unmute access, so you can unmute yourself and speak as well.
Good morning, Dr. Saksena. I am Aarti Ahuja. I am a psychologist based in Delhi. And very often in relationship counseling, I get to work on the inner child of individuals. And what I find is that there's a very strong relationship between their religious identity and self-pleasure and masturbation, whether they come from a very strong Catholic background or a very strong Hindu background, like you were talking about shame and guilt. It is somewhere a part of their religious identity that they take forward in their individual identity in society. So I've been working a lot of times on detachment from the religious identity of people and getting them to that space of authentic self-acceptance of themselves just as individuals. And then I start working on the reworking on the intimacy in relationships. What I would like to ask you is that I also happen to be blessed coming from a medical background, and both my parents are doctors. So that positive body image that I have grown up with and having that sense of accepting myself, because my mom is also a gynecologist, and she used to get livid at me while I was younger, and I used to say that, oh, I cannot change in front of other women. She used to say, I look at women all day long. It's the same. It doesn't change. If you cannot change in front of 10 women in a swimming pool changing room, then what are you expecting to be? So that's a conditioning, I believe, and that's a way we are taught in our own families and in our own systems. But when we come to a very larger society part, where does acceptance begin? Does it begin in childhood about your sexuality as such, or does it begin in the adolescence when we are starting to experience those body changes? So if you could just enlighten me on that.
Yeah. So it begins in childhood itself. Yeah, that it's the way we can look at it is how we have a relationship with, say, food, right? You build a positive relationship with food because it's nourishing, keeps you healthy, and we do that right from childhood, right? But so same thing with sexuality. It is also nourishing. It is also associated with the positive health. It helps to reduce stress. It enhances your immune response. It keeps you healthy. It's a part of life. So we need to start from the very beginning. And that is when you are cleaning the child, changing their nappies or their chaddis. What is the expression on your face? When you're teaching them names of their body parts, begin with head, nose, mouth, chest, no breast, of course, chest, and then a big tummy, belly button, and then straight to the toes. Now imagine a 2-year-old is standing there. What is the 2-year-old thinking? What happened in between? There is so much happening. They're being toilet trained. They're being told to, pass susu, do potty, potty aaye kya, susu kar lo, chalne se pehle, and all that is going on. But there is no name for it. And if a name is given, it is some euphemism or some totally, it could be called shame. It could be called, this is your chichi. Can you imagine? I have a chichi. How can I have a positive relationship with sexuality? It's a chichi. Or it's been called a cookie or a flower or a parrot. And my other people, my teacher, is supposed to understand that when I'm telling my teacher that uncle messes with my cookie or uncle is touching my flower while we were playing hide and seek, how are they going to understand that the child is reporting sexual abuse? And this actually happened. The child told the mother, this is my flower, uncle is touching my flower. And the mother thought, oh, flower in the garden. She had given the same name 3 years before, but now the child was 6 years old and the mother had forgotten. So she said, it's all right. So the child went back to play with the uncle. She had had it out. What is this happening? Went back, and when the abuse became severe, then it came to light. So we need to give clear and unambiguous names which are culturally acceptable. Now, what happens many a time we insist, call it the penis, vagina, vulva. No. If you are not an English speaking person in India, you will not be comfortable saying these words. And how come suddenly everything is aak, muh, naak, kaan, and suddenly this is vagina? The language itself creates a distance. So in the same language, see, the idea is that the child can talk about these parts and report any unsafe touch clearly. So when the child is small and the child has not yet learned where to speak what, you can say words like, this is your susu place, this is your potty place. There is no harm in that. If your house is such that every member is comfortable, then you do name them vagina, vulva, or whatever. Penis, scrotum, please use those names. But if these names are not going to be acceptable, and this is what a parent in a school in Noida told me, she said, no way my mother-in-law is going to accept that I teach my child that this is a penis. Right? I said, you don't have to. Just tell the child this is your susu place. We keep it covered in front of people. Other people shouldn't touch it. When you need help, I'll cover myself, whoever will help you take a bath, you wear your chadis, zip you up, and all of that. So use clear, unambiguous names right from childhood. What about socio-sexual play? What about children playing with themselves, touching each other? What would you do? You have 3, 4, 5-year-old nephews, nieces, children, neighbors, children, they're all playing. 4 or 5 of them are sitting and playing, and then suddenly you hear giggles and laughter and all coming from the bathroom. You pass by and you find that they are showing themselves, each other, their genitals, they're touching. A big cow. What would you do? See, sexuality is up close. It is very close. It is happening all around us. I would like to hear what you are thinking.
There is some context I would like to share. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like normalizing the curiosity, and while saying that also, like I'm aware, and so I'm saying that, but there is this a lot of effort will go into, because of my own conditioning and the background, a lot of effort will go into holding the reaction back. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
naturally, and so not in a way displacing whatever I am feeling, the my discomfort onto the child, because I have experienced somebody sharing where and I have taken permission to share these like little anonymous anecdotes where um, there was a parent who saw this, and one of the children was a slightly older child, and but the younger one thought that I should not have been there. Now there was a power dynamics also between the children, but still the guilt was taken upon by the younger one, because like the older one was a cousin, and so the parent who saw was the younger one's parent. So I should not do wrong, and that has like affected the whole life trajectory of that, just that incident. So I'm aware of the power that the reaction holds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, not letting it out, even if like just maybe holding back is the first thing, the discomfort.
Yeah. And why should we do it? Should we not stop them? So I just the point here is that this is the time that sexual map is being formed in the brain of the child. A sexual map. What does a map do? A map tells us where to go, what is where, how things are. That's what maps are for. And the sexual map is being laid now. So they need to know what are the various. Obviously, there's a difference between the female genital, male genital, other genitals. If the child doesn't explore it, and for the first time they see it at some 24 years of age, what? How is this going to be? It's absolutely crazy to think that somehow everything will be fine. Just hold on everything, withhold every information, every knowledge, every exposure until you are married. No, that's not how nature is. Right? We are not born to be wearing clothes. That's not how human bodies are made. If really nature wanted us to have a flap over there, it would have put the flap. There is no flap over there. How can you expect children not to be curious? They are intelligent children. And even animal children, animal babies, they're all curious. They want to know what is there, what is this. So this is normal socio-sexual play. Don't interfere with it. Let it happen. It happens naturally. They don't plan it. They don't say, come tomorrow, we will do this game. It is spontaneous. They'll be playing together and then they'll all go into a slightly more private thing. Maybe they were playing in the middle of the room, but now they will go to the slight corner or behind a door or a bathroom, and they'll be showing each other, they'll be touching each other. It is only genital touch. They never put their mouth to the genitals of the other. They only touch. They giggle, they laugh. There's a sense of sexual privacy inherent in us, and that's why they go like this. They don't do it in the middle of the field. They don't do it in the middle of the class. All you have to do is ignore it. See, what is your attitude to sexual knowledge? It is a body of knowledge, information, knowledge. It is not corrupting. No knowledge is corrupting. We conflate sexuality with having sex. The moment I said sexuality, you thought of having sex. No, having sex is a very small part of it, and some of us never have it. But our sexuality is there all the time. We're expressing it in the words we use, the way we dress, the colors we choose, the way we sit, the way we stand, so many things, the color of our computers. So here for the children, it will be spontaneous, all laughter. They will not force each other. Nobody gets hurt, and obviously nobody gets pregnant. It's normal, natural. What are you scared of? You can talk to your child later on. You can say, we are very curious about each other's parts. We often touch each other. That's all right. But nobody older should join in this game. Usually the children are within 2 or 3 years of each other. Right? So and if a child doesn't want to play, you shouldn't force the child. So you're teaching consent at the same time. Okay, and just leave it. There is no guilt, there's no shame. We have all played these games. And what I'm worried about is now children don't get the opportunity to play this game. They're always under somebody's view. Or they're only one child in the family. They're not even 2 children in the family. Just a single child. And they're going and playing with their friend, and always somebody is watching them. Where is the space to have socio-sexual play? But they do play still. So this father gave had one of our sessions, Enfold sessions, and they went for he went to support his 6-year-old for a bath. And then he said, okay, you're taking off your clothes in front of me. It's all fine. What about anybody else? Do you show your so to anybody else? He said, yeah. So the father said, who? I said, oh, in my class now, I sit with 2 other children now. So they will open their zip and they will tell me also, open your zip, open your show. So the father said, but the teacher is there, no. No, daddy, see, the desk is there, no. The teacher can't see. We are under the desk. So the father said, okay, yeah, we all have done these things. We do it when we are young. But no one older should join in this game. If somebody older children in the school or any adult wants to ask you to show, or they show you their own parts, that's not okay. You can come and tell me then. Yeah, so you have made space for socio-sexual play. At the same time, you are taking care of the personal safety aspect of it. Yeah. Okay, let's go a little further. And yeah. So we are talking about having conversations, right? From childhood, naming the parts, making space for socio-sexual play. You're talking about respect for each other. Don't force anyone. We all do it. Information, right? It's okay, it feels nice. Yeah, we often touch ourselves, but not in front of others. That is when you're talking, when you see a child, you're all sitting down and you're watching something on a movie or something, and you find that the child's hand has gone inside their pants. You just go sit next to the child. They will take out their hand. Later on, you can say, no, we don't touch ourselves in these private parts in front of others. You can go into the toilet, you can go into your room, you can be in your bed, covered with a bed sheet. So you're teaching them the touching rules. We don't touch each other in these private parts in front of others. Of course, when the child becomes an adolescent, then it's different. It's about consent. We don't touch each other in these parts without each other's consent. Yeah. And as part of the law, well, you can't be saying that to under 18s, but you can still say it and say by law, it is not okay. Even touching each other with consent is not okay by the current laws in India. So you're giving that kind of information. Body image. We don't make any part of a body. So why take responsibility for it? Why feel ashamed of it? And at the same time, why feel pride in it? Oh, I've got such a beautiful body. I've got this, I've got that. My color is like this. My eyes are like that. My boobs are this size. My bum is like this. Take pride in how you take care of your body. If you exercise, if you take good food, if you're take care of yourself, that you can take pride in, but not in the basic structure. Right? So, not associating pride or shame with any part of the body, but instead supporting the children, supporting young people, and adults also to develop respect for every part of the body and respect for every function of the body, whether it is menstruation, whether it is ejaculation, whether it is orgasm, respect for every function of the body. Not feel ashamed that I have an orgasm, I enjoy it. No. Do you feel ashamed if you taste the sweetness of a fruit? You don't feel ashamed. You don't feel ashamed of all the tastes that you enjoy. Why are you feeling ashamed of enjoying the pleasure and different kinds of pleasures that sexuality brings? And it is much beyond the parts or the sexual parts. It's not limited to the genitals. If you're a person with disability, they talk of orgasm through outercourse, which has nothing to do with intercourse. Just the whole body can lead to an erotic kind of sensations. But we don't explore ourselves. We have forbidden so much, so much. Your child is growing up and saying, you call me a girl, but I'm a boy inside. Grows older, 12, 13, 14, says, I'm a girl and I love other girls. I don't feel any attraction towards boys. Are there spaces for that? This is also normal and natural. It's nature's design. Nature is diversity. It loves diversity. It thrives on diversity. We are the ones who have the narrow cishet, cisgender, and heterosexual, two in the confines of legal marriage. In the night in your bed, with the lights off, in the missionary position, right? And between these ages, only you should do it. And preferably you should result in this kind of a child being born. So understanding that if I am a heterosexual person, it's nothing in my doing. It's nothing to do with anything that I did, anything to do with my parenting, anything with my religion, nothing. That's the way I am. I'm made by nature like this. Who is another person to sit judgment on me? Did they make themselves? They're also a product of nature. Why? Yes, if I do something, it take away somebody's rights. If I impose myself, that's okay. That needs to be, held accountable and responsible. Yeah. Different kinds of foods. Yeah, so hey, do you have North Indian food? South Indian food? Have you tried Thai green curry? Have you tried this? But sex? Ayo, only one type. One type. And we are the land of Kama Sutra. I feel so ashamed. What is this? We are the land of Kama Sutra, and this is what we are reduced to. So much policing about what goes on in the bedroom. No, we can set ourselves free of all this. Not required. Have lots and lots and lots of conversations. Different places, in schools, between people, friends, different ages, service providers, older people, younger people. Right? We can have these conversations. That we can demystify sexuality, tell myths from facts, celebrate it, respect it. Right? So I'm going to stop here and again ask for your comments, for your sharing. And I would also like a heads up on time because I'm sitting in another country and I'm totally confused about what time this is supposed to end. How much time do I have?
We have another 18 minutes, so we do have time.
Perfect. Yes, I would like to hear your views on this. What can we do?
I do have a question. Is there something, because we do have quite a few mental health practitioners here, and so is there anything specific learning courses, knowledge context that would help and facilitate being able to be more mindful about all of these pieces? Because I think
yes. It's good that you have said this. I will just show you a whole lot of resources which are available and people can download. So I will show you on. I will share my screen and I'm just showing you how to get to the resources. This is our website, Enfold website. We have resources. Under the resources, there are a lot of publications. And I would like to point you to the publications that we have put forth here. This is a demystifying sexuality reference book. All these resources and the handbook for teachers of special education, handbooks for psychology and mental health practitioners. This would be of interest to you. Plus handbook for social workers, handbook for nurses, and handbook for students of B.Ed. This was all created under Ford Foundation project that is currently underway, where we are training teachers, postgraduate courses to conduct sessions for their students, their B.Ed students, their social work students, their psychology students. So this reference book has everything, in fact, a lot of things that I was talking about right now is there in this. When to teach, how to teach, and all of that. It has diversity, it has pedophilia, it has all of those chapters in it. It's quite text heavy, it's like a reference book. This one, the handbook, has case studies. It has case studies on various sexual relationships, disability, children, issues with reproductive health, sexual preferences and practices, pedophilia, just short case study, and then what a counselor or a mental health practitioner could look out for. So this handbook is to be read in conjunction with the reference book, the Demystifying Sexuality reference book. Besides this, we have also created videos. And these videos are Demystifying Sexuality playlist, and that has 17 videos. And the videos are on these various topics. Structure and function explained from an evolutionary point of view, diversity, gender bias, self-esteem, common issues with reproductive health, sexual development in children and adolescents. That may be interesting. How to talk to children about personal safety, how to discuss sexuality with adolescents, our attitudes, and then sexuality and disability. So a lot of this you may find interesting. Many of these videos are also in Indian Sign Language. So if you just came here and you clicked, this would take you to the playlist. Oh, it's currently seems to be broken for some reason. It's not coming up. So that's these are the resources that I wanted to point you to. Yeah, sure, Swati. Please ask your question. Yeah, please ask. Swati Arul.
You should be able to unmute yourself, Swati. Given access for that.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
I think that's very nice. I think I've understood a lot about sexuality. I had this one doubt that is coming back to me. Somewhere I'm keep this, but I wanted to clarify this myself. Like, they say that a lot of times that your sexual partner, or like how they say, one night stands or something that's kind of you, feeling hollow. Like the pleasure that you get just seems to be very temporary in nature, and you might feel hurt, or a certain amount of maybe discomfort, thinking that okay, So I'm talking about that emotional connection. How much do people think that this is related, like sex being a part of while there is a certain amount of our emotions involved in that process?
Okay. The sound was a little patchy, but I think what you're asking is in a one night stand kind of a thing. It does. Is there any emotional bonding happening, or whether emotional bonding has any role to play in the whole sexual experience? That's what I thought was the question. So I must say that emotional, a sort of a bonding does happen during even a one night stand, because it involves a lot of touch. There's a lot of touch, and anytime you touch a person, there is a release of oxytocin in your brain and in the other person's brain, which is leading to formation of some kind of a bond. How often you touch, how long you touch, for how many days and years you touch, that will only strengthen the bond. But you can't say that I will touch a person or I will have sex with a person but not feel any emotional attachment to them is not possible. It's not possible. It is part of it. Of course, it may not form a very strong bond because the next day you're away and you never meet that person again. You never meet that person again. So obviously that particular bond is not going to become very strong. But during the exposure, during the sexual activity, besides touch, there is orgasm. And during orgasm, again, there's huge release of oxytocin, which further tends to bond you with the person that you are with at that time, right? So we need to just understand this and not use it as a tool to police or make it a moral judgment tool. That don't do this kind of activity. Say, what about the emotional bonding and all of that? It's up to the person whether they really want to or not. Or the person, each time we have sex and the number of partners we have sex with, there is the unavoidable risk of sexually transmitted infections, HIVs, all of that is there. The protection, the condoms will reduce the risk only that much. Nothing is 100% safe. There is no safe sex, there is only safer sex. So with all these information, we leave it to the people. It's for each person, it's different how they want to experience sexuality, how many partners they want to have. It's up to the person. Yeah. As mental health practitioners, many of you would know that early childhood exposure to or early childhood experiences of sexual abuse may result in people having very loose boundaries, or their self-worth may be tied to having more and more sexual experiences. So those are the things to look out for if you find that a person is behaving in a manner which they deep down don't want to, but seem to be not able to hold themselves back. Then history of child sexual abuse is something to be explored. And I'm saying this, there was a huge article once in Times of India, very big article, and the heading was Harvard PhD student doing sex work. And it's okay, let me read. And I read and then quite a lot of description. And then once, 2 lines. And she said that she was sexually abused by her father. Now that was hidden somewhere in the whole article. The headline was PhD in Harvard doing sex work. Right? Instead of saying sexual abuse can have long-lasting impact and something like that, the heading was titillating. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Yeah.
No, I think we do have time for 1 or 2 more questions. So I just wanted to say that. Dr. Sangeeta, I do have one more. But yeah, then over to you.
I have a question actually. So there is a lot of resistance. So when a person goes through sexual abuse, whether it's during their childhood or adulthood. There is a lot of resistance about it and actually bringing it up with their parents, and having that conversation and letting them know that this is what I've gone through, because there is always some sort of a judgment which is going to kick in, right? So how can we make that space safe and comfortable? Like, are there any um, tools and techniques to use, or probably anything to make the process a little more easier?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Again, it is from childhood, but at any age you can start this. Is personal safety education, teaching children the personal safety rules about clothing, touching, and talking, and the personal safety guide of know, go, and tell. So the touching, talking, and clothing rules are, these are private parts and this is they are called. And instead of saying shame, shame, poppy, shame, when I see the child running naked, I would say, baby, go wear your chaddi. See, there are people here now, right? And then I would attach, if at all, shame and respect to what we do, right? So if I do something, I may feel ashamed of myself. Why did I hit? Why did I hit my mother? Shame on me, right? uh, I respect my child. I feel great about that. So if you feel respect and pride and shame from what we do, these are not parts of the body. So if we don't attach shame and respect to parts of the body and attach it to our action and our behavior, then it becomes very easy. Sexual abuse, somebody is breaking personal safety rules. It's just like traffic rules. Somebody broke the traffic rule. Mama, see, they're jumping the red light. Mama, they're not wearing the seat belt. It's the same thing. Mama, see, that person has not zipped their pant. Right? It's the same thing. So we make the space for that by saying the person who breaks these rules, if they are breaking it deliberately, which will be repeated, it will be intense and all that, and they will do it again and again. If they do it intentionally, they're doing something inappropriate, something unsafe. They are responsible for it. They have to be held accountable for it. Like, they have to explain their behavior. Don't we say, why did you tell a lie? Why did you steal? Right? We want accountability. You shouldn't have stolen. Why did you open your zip and show your susu? To people walking, like this man used to stand outside the girls' college every time the college got over, and he would unzip his pant and stand there. Nobody was holding him accountable. What the hell are you doing? So that's where we need to come. This silence around sexuality, then attaching shame, and then the virginity becoming a virtue. If you are a virgin, it's something virtuous. It's a bloody part of the body. It may break at any time. Doesn't matter. Virginity is a concept that I want to have sex with maybe just one person and under certain conditions. That's what is virginity. But on this victim blaming, this is the only crime where the victim is blamed. Why? Because it was a gender-based crime. For centuries, it was done by the more, in patriarchal societies, it was done by men to women, and women didn't have any means to get out of it. They had no economic independence. They were completely dependent on the male, so they just bear it. Yeah? So all of this is linked with gender bias and this silence, and this is the only crime. All other crimes, the victim is never blamed, but here the victim is silenced because mostly the victim used to be women, females. Because for centuries, 10,000 years, we have kept quiet about it. Now the abuse is extended to all genders. In fact, the Government of India study said that said that more boys reported minor sexual abuse as well as severe sexual abuse than girls. 53 versus 52%. The Government of India study on 2007 on child sexual abuse. So if you want to make any difference around here, let's break the silence. Let's develop respect for body parts. Let's name the body parts, and let us also hold the perpetrators responsible and accountable. So I wanted to just point you to one resource that we have, which can be used to help children learn personal safety. Let me just quickly show you that. Yeah, these are 3 information apps. Surakshit app, it is for children to help them learn personal safety. It has social stories, it has and it has all these 3 rules I've been talking about. And this one, the Bal Suraksha app, this is about the POXO Act and everybody's rules and responsibility. It has a section for parents, and in that it has a section on how to teach personal safety. So in there that has how to answer children's questions. From where was I born? Where are babies coming out from? How did the baby get inside? Right? All of these need to be answered in an authentic manner, in a way that the child can understand. You can't say, no, I'll answer this question when you are 14 years old. Somebody else will answer the question of this 4-year-old and say, come, I'll show you how babies are made. Right? So that is there. And of course, 3 Suraksha app is on women's safety. But these 2 apps you might find useful if you want to talk to your children about it. It's available on Play Store by these very names you'll have to type in 10 different languages. Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, because we really wanted it to reach.
Dr. Sangeeta, I think there's one last question, and then we'll have
Yeah. Curiosity of a child. While I do practice some other tips, we fail to create utopia with desire for the straight. I've been raised with a similar mindset. I also have my limited what is right wrong. How do I understand behave the way it should be with my child or other myself? How to avoid my own shame that's not going. Yeah, this is, mental health, cognitive behavioral therapy, narrative therapy, various things. Because if shame has been associated so deeply with it, to maybe just repeat to yourself or have conversations with a spouse or a close friend about how our bodies are created by nature. There is no shame, there is no guilt attached to these. How I've been indoctrinated into this, basically to feel shame. And there is a huge research on how emotions are made. There is nothing like all these universal emotions will be, everyone will feel them. No, we make children feel it by repeatedly saying shame, 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 You want to get out of that. Maybe just study the religious texts, go to these temples where we have all of these on our temple walls, on the Khajuraho, in Orissa, in Belur Halibut, everywhere. Yeah, in Ajanta Ellora. Is it really shameful? We are the people who celebrate sexuality through spirituality. That Shivalinga we worship, the Hindus worship, it is nothing but the Shiva's penis, and the circle around is the Parvati's yoni. It is an act of creation is there in our temples. We go there, pray, and come out, and we refuse to name it for our children. And we say this is shameful, this is dirty, but we are just sprayed. Yeah, so this conflict, to resolve it, probably good to work with a therapist if it is very deep down. If you can work with yourself also, with the help of your partner if possible. There is nothing, there is no shame. Anyone else? You're most welcome to.
I think we're also out of time. Okay, 5
Yeah.
minutes more short.
All right. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Always, I mean, me and Anshul have been part of Enfold's training. So for quite a few years now, we've been, hearing you speak, and it's really an honor to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta.